Hi, welcome back to Love Work. I'm TJ, I'll be your host. Tonight we're getting back into our candidate series, interviewing candidates running for positions here in Derry next week. The election is March 12th. Polls open at 7 a.m., close at 8 p.m. Make sure you get out there and vote. If you're not registered, you can register at the poll, bring proper ID, and let your voice be heard here in Derry. Yeah, it's real simple, and there are a lot of changes that need to be made, and you can be part of the solution. There's a couple of events coming up in the next couple of months. The only thing I'm sure of right now, weather permitting, is April 25th. We'll be doing Bubbles of Love to bring awareness to children who are denied access to both parents. And Parental Alienation Awareness Month, so we'll be celebrating that all month, and then focusing on the veterans in May. There's a few show updates I'll get to later in the show. I really want to get into this interview with my guest. My first guest is Rockingham County Commissioner Kevin Coyle. Kevin is a native of Derry, or at least is a resident of Derry, and is here with us today to talk about his positions, his views on Derry. And we're real excited. Kevin, thanks for coming.
No problem. Thanks
Welcome.
for having me.
Let me start by asking you, basically, who is Kevin? The way I want to ask is, what is the context of your purpose, and how did you come to that, and how did you end up getting into politics through that?
So I wasn't born in Derry. I was born in Providence, Rhode Island, but we moved here when I was 5 years old, and we moved to Upstone Lane, which is right behind South Range School. So I went to South Range School, Grinnell School, Hood School, and then Pinkerton Academy.
Wow.
So I've spent about 49 years here in Derry.
I consider that native.
That's pretty close. So I have been a prosecutor for most of my career. I prosecuted for Londonderry, and then I now prosecute for Sandown and Hampstead, and probably soon to add another town, but we'll leave that for later.
Excellent.
And so I started thinking about politics probably 15 years ago when I looked at the town council, and I thought that would be a good place to get involved. And so I ran a few times and lost. So I know how to run and lose, and I know how to run and win. In this particular case, I served 6 years on the town council of Derry. And one of the biggest things about the town council when I was sitting there was that we were working hard to build our fund balance, which is the town of Derry savings account. And although we didn't always agree, the one thing we almost always agreed on was that we need to maintain a healthy fund balance. And we, with Jim McGeckern and all the way through, probably up until the last 3 or 4 years ago, always maintained a very healthy fund balance. And so what prompted me to run this time, and after serving 6 years as
when was that term, the 6-year term?
2006 to 2012.
Okay.
After serving 6 years, I had enough, and I said, I'm done with Derry politics. And it was, it was a contentious time to be in Derry politics. There were lots of issues, and so I said, I'm done. And then in 2012, I ran for county commissioner, won a three-way race with Phyllis Katsikoris and Don Stritch. And then I've been a county commissioner since then, which is a really great position. We're in charge of the jail and the nursing home and sheriff's department and all of the county functions. And so I was done with Derry politics until I started paying attention again. And frankly, I hadn't been paying attention. And I watched them start spending our fund balance. And that really gave me concern. And I was like, why are they doing that? I mean, it's easy to make yourself look good when you're spending from your savings.
Do you know what they were spending it on?
They were spending it on sometimes to reduce taxes, sometimes for individual projects.
Okay.
And
Was the
and we used to
I'm sorry.
and we used to spend money on individual projects. Like one of the things that we used fund balance for was to purchase land at the cemetery so that we could expand the cemetery. That was a one-time purchase, and I thought it was an appropriate use of fund balance. So I'm not saying that you should never use fund balance. I think it's appropriate, but that it has eroded so much and so quickly gives me great concern.
Yeah.
And I think the person that's leading that is Jim Morgan, and so therefore, when his term was up, I decided that I would run again.
Okay. Yep, I know Jim. He's a good man.
Yeah.
I like Jim. But as you talked about the county commissioner and you're responsible for county events. What role do you play? Is it and how is the funding provided for that?
So the county commissioner there are 3 county commissioners. So we don't have a county administrator. So we basically oversee the operations of the county.
Okay.
Preparation of the budget, review of staff, management of staff, and management pretty much of all county affairs. So we meet every week. We probably, prepare much more than that, but, we have a meeting every week. And so, once we have a budget passed by the delegation, and the delegation is all the state reps of Rockingham County, we administer the county. It is funded by, the biggest funding source is primarily taxes, and it's we generally keep a fairly steady rate throughout the county for the last, 20 years. It's been about $1 for every town. And so we keep a very level funding, a very level funding source. And we keep a very tight budget. It's about, annually, it's a little over $80 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Sounds like you're doing some great work.
I really enjoy being a county commissioner.
Does it concern you that by taking on the role of on town council, that will affect your role as county commissioner in any way?
I don't think that it will. I mean, if you look at who we have on town council now, they have many roles already. Phyllis Katz-Goris is a state rep,
Right.
and
There are a
Brian
few of 'em.
Chiricello is a state rep.
Dick Tripp.
Dick
Yeah.
Tripp was a state rep.
Right. He did
so
go back.
It doesn't concern me. Now that I don't have a full-time job, I have a little bit more free time.
So you're not practicing law now at all?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We practice law, but we only practice law for people that we know and people that we can help.
Okay.
We don't. It's not as of right now, it's not a business that we do full time.
Okay, we'll talk more after the show about that. But and right now, what do you see as the biggest issue in Derry?
There are still a lot of big issues in Derry. For me, and the reason why I'm running is fund balance. But there are a lot of issues related. One of the things that I didn't like what this council has done is they sort of have attacked the schools.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that was an appropriate way. I mean, I've been an advocate for a city.
Did they attack the schools or the school board?
School board.
Okay.
Not the school. And I should say the school board. You're correct.
You got to clarify.
But they essentially wanted to, they tried to get this bill passed at the end of a legislative session, which basically would take over the schools. And instead of doing it, there's a proper legislative procedure to do that. And they wanted to circumvent that. And I thought that was an end around. And, the council has really attacked the school board. And I don't think it's been appropriate to do that. Listen, I think the school spends a lot of money, and I don't like that their budget goes up every single year. I think there are ways to change that, but not the way they've done it. I think going after individuals, the attacks that they've done against individuals, I think has been pretty bad.
Okay. Interesting. All right. I want to get personal with you now. Nothing too heavy, but if you could tell yourself one thing when you were 18 years old as you are now, what would that be?
Let's see. Invest in Amazon stock. Invest in Facebook stock. if I could tell myself, other than those things, I probably would say uh, be a little more patient.
Okay.
Not be so, you know, look at the better side of people than I was a little too judgmental when I was younger. So I would say, hey, you
Okay.
grow up, you say, don't be so judgmental.
Okay.
People live different lives, and you don't need to be so judgmental. That's what I tell my 18-year-old self.
Very good. And we still have plenty of time left, and I want to get to some other things. But let me ask you this: what's your passion? I love sports. That's my thing. I'm a major sports fan. What's your passion?
My passion really is cars. I love old cars.
Yeah.
And I like driving cars. Currently, I'm in the midst of restoring a 1979 Ford pickup truck that I found in Brentwood. That's in excellent shape, and I can't wait to drive it this summer.
Cool.
So that would be one of my passions. I like driving cars. I like driving old cars. I like collecting old cars.
Do you go to car shows around town and stuff?
We were just in Florida, and I went to 2 car shows, which was great because they have great cars down there.
Okay.
And of course, it fueled me to say, oh, I'd like one of those. But my wife tells me that I have too many cars as it is, so I probably won't be getting any new ones. But I'm going to be enjoying as soon as this weather breaks, I'm going to be enjoying riding some of my toy cars.
Right. It's been just horrible here, the weather. It's not, it hasn't been a wet winter, but it's been extremely cold.
We were extraordinarily fortunate in that our business is a little slow in January, February, picks up in March.
Mm-hmm.
And so we took the month of February. My wife spent most of February in Florida, and I traveled back and forth a few times, but mostly tried to spend as much time in Florida as I could because it was fantastic.
I'm sure. I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I've never been to Florida. And,
Really?
Yeah.
You need to go.
I've been all over the country, never been to Florida. Okay, if there's one thing that you want to bring up that we haven't discussed, specific, easy for me to say, specifically about Derry. And actually, before I ask you that, I'll let you think about that while you answer this. My main concern is downtown. My whole life is downtown Derry. And a big problem is that there's not enough, the access to East Broadway, downtown Derry, is limited by exit 4 and exit, the traffic coming from everywhere in the city ends up there, and it's always a big cluster.
Yeah.
So with exit 4A coming in, do you see that showing any signs of relief to downtown Derry?
Well, I think it'll definitely be a relief of traffic. But they want to say that exit 4A is a panacea.
Okay.
And by that I mean it's going to be hugely beneficial. Who it's going to be hugely beneficial for is the town of Londonderry and Chester.
Okay.
Because it's going to provide a quicker access to people to get to Chester, because it's going to dump off on 102.
Okay.
And all of the land that is developable is primarily in Londonderry, right off the exit. It doesn't and so we're going to lose some businesses because the way the exit comes off, we're going to lose some businesses that currently exist. And maybe there'll be some economic development opportunity for Derry, but it will be limited.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be, a problem for those people that live on the far end of Shenito Road. So I see the 4A as a limited benefit for Derry.
Okay.
It will, however, take some traffic away from 102.
Right.
So if your goal is to have less traffic on 102, I think that will happen.
That in itself will make a big
I think
difference.
that downtown, we're in negotiations to buy a building downtown. And one of the concerns is, it takes a lot of money to buy the building, and then a lot of money, because a lot of the buildings needs a lot of work. It's a lot of money to rehab the building. And, you have to find businesses that'll be successful. And there have been a lot of businesses that, have are barely surviving.
Yeah.
And it's a difficult, where you are, Cumberland Farms, they're doing great.
Mm-hmm.
But like the Wisteria Flower Shop, just
Right,
didn't make
gone.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of businesses like that. So, redevelopment of the downtown is a really difficult thing.
Right.
So.
Right. I know I've spoken with Mark Beeland a number of times at the Opera House.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that if there was a little bit more access, I think they could flourish more. And because you got Tupelo Hall up on Crystal Ave that's doing amazing things.
Yeah.
And I can't see any reason why the Opera House couldn't follow in on that. There are possibilities through the roof, really.
I think that, the problem for the Opera House is that it's competing with the Tupelo and with Pinkerton Academy, which has a amazing theater. So I mean, I think that's the difficult.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to. I wish I could tell you I could solve that for you, but I don't have any answers for that.
Okay, I guess I'll talk more to Mark. Okay, now I really wrote a short script, so I'm going to improvise a little bit here, just for a few more minutes. During the midterm election, I became very active with the state reps and senators, and in Washington, senators and reps. And what I've done since then is I've been working with a number of people on different bills. And one of those bills is HB 481, which just passed the, I believe it was the Senate Ways and Means Committee, and it's going to the House next, and then it'll go up for the vote. HB 481 is the cannabis legalization bill. Can you give me your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. So I prosecuted for 23, since I've been a lawyer since 1994. So I'm nearing 25 years as being a lawyer. And initially, I think that I was opposed to cannabis being legalized. And then I became aware that many of my friends, and in fact, I would say most of my friends, smoke marijuana. And they have jobs. They don't beat their wives. They are fairly successful. And so I'm like, why is this illegal? I mean, alcohol is far worse.
Much worse.
I've never prosecuted somebody for having a domestic incident when they're smoking marijuana, but I can tell you hundreds or thousands of cases when people are drunk.
Right.
So I've been a proponent of legalization of marijuana. I think that it should be regulated. I think it should be taxed.
Yeah.
And I think it should be legal. And so I'm hoping that it will become. The governor's threatened to veto it. So
right.
I don't know if there will be enough to override his veto.
They need 2/3, and it seems like they're well on their way to that, but that's far down the road.
I think it's it's time. It is not, as many argue that it's a gateway drug. It's not.
No.
It absolutely is not.
Quite the opposite.
And many people, many of your friends smoke marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to be, because I was a prosecutor, I couldn't necessarily go to certain events because, I couldn't be around it. But not secondhand smoke, but I couldn't be, in a place where they're doing something illegal. And I have good friends who are good people. If they want to smoke marijuana, they should be allowed to.
Yeah,
legally.
I agree. I think the benefits of it, not just it helps medicinally. Yeah. There's CBD oils in it. The plant is just full of minerals and oil that are very healing. Yeah. That's why cancer patients use it. On top of that, it's also, like you said, it should be regulated and taxed. Those tax dollars could generate so much
revenue.
It can ease a lot of struggles, not just for the state, but the towns.
Yeah, individually. The state gets so much money from alcohol, and they would get, not an equal amount, but they would get a substantial amount from marijuana. And marijuana, as far as I'm concerned, is much less dangerous than alcohol.
Right. I've heard that the worst side effect of smoking too much marijuana is a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
So, but cool. I think about especially property taxes. That's
Yeah.
probably the biggest issue for homeowners in Derry and throughout New Hampshire.
Oh yeah,
And the potential that has to ease that there.
that burden, absolutely.
Okay. Another bill that I was working on with a couple of state reps was HB 236, which is a shared parenting bill. I don't know if you ever practiced family law.
I practice minimal family law.
Okay, yeah,
it's an area where it's a very difficult area to be a lawyer in.
It's a touchy place.
And I found that most of the lawyers that practice there are not people that I want to be associated with, unfortunately.
Yeah,
So.
that's true. In fact, we're doing this show now because of my fight with family law, seeking reform for the administration of our taxes to support the destruction of families. Because to me, that's what it comes down to, and millions around the country. But apparently now, I was talking with David Love the last couple of weeks ago, and there's a new shared parenting bill, and that's a lot simpler. I'm hoping something gets passed. I'm working with people in different states as well to get their input. And
it's a huge issue, absolutely a huge issue. And again, I wish I could have a crystal ball, but I don't know how to solve that issue.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's been a great pleasure meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
I wish you the most luck next Tuesday, and hopefully I'll see you at the polls.
Oh, you will.
I'll be out and about running around. And during the midterms, Derry TV did during the midterm election tonight, they did a broadcast with all the different stations throughout the state, and I'm hoping they'll do that this year. But get that info down the road.
What I'm hoping is that there'll be a lot of people who come out and vote, because generally in town elections, if you get 2,000, 2,500 people, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be like that. I mean, these elections are what affects your tax dollars.
Exactly.
The midterms and the general election that doesn't really affect your local taxes. What affects your local taxes is not as deeply.
Right,
what affects your local taxes is your local election.
Okay.
So I'm hoping people come
Excellent. Good luck, Kevin.
Thanks.
I hope we can do some work together in the future, perhaps.
That'd be great.
I definitely will be in touch about the legal stuff.
No problem.
All right. Thanks a bunch. All right. We got a few minutes left. I just want to go over a couple of announcements. As I said, we're going to be doing some shows in April on parental alienation and some shows on veterans in May, and I'm real excited about it. I'm starting a raffle that will be going out, hopefully kicking off by April 1st, and we're going to try to generate some money to improve Veterans Affairs here in Derry. And I hope in May we'll be able to present a big check to the Derry Veterans Commission to help veterans. There's a group, I can't think of the name of it right off the top of my head. Ernie St. Pierre runs it, and they work with veterans similar to Wounded Warriors, only every dollar they get goes to building houses for homeless veterans. And if you know Derry at all, heading up towards Exit 5, there's a tent city, and there's a lot of homeless veterans that live there. And it's our hope that we can get all the veterans housed properly. So keep an eye on that. It'll be on social media, on my social media pages, and I'll let you know about that. What we'll be doing is I'm asking local businesses to donate gift certificates to their businesses that we can raffle off, so that you can have a good old time in Derry and get to know your town a lot better. So I see it as a win-win for everyone, hopefully. I see it as mainly a win for the veterans. That's the most important thing. I've done work with veterans before, and it's really, really, it can be tough. So I want to give a huge thank you to my associate producer, Babette Fitzgerald. She is, I don't want to say my conscience, but she helps me to keep my life in perspective and make it easier for me to do what I do. And I just wanted her to know I appreciate that. So she'll probably slap me for mentioning her on the air, but I love you, Babette. That's all there is to it. There's a couple of wars in the family law reform movement that I'm working with that I really want to thank, because they've been really patient with me, because I've just had a lot going on. I'm trying to help them with their cases in whatever way. Specifically, Debbie Westlake and Jessica Gibbon Thomas, who have been just fantastic working with, and they're trying to restore their families, and I'm trying to do all I can to help them, and incorporating other people in the movement. So with that, we're going to close up. I was going to say something. Thank you to Derry Cam for empowering my independent voice, and you can be a part of that here at Derry TV, Derry Cam, and be part of the solution. You know, what we're trying to do here at LoveWorks is get the information out there, educate people on what's happening in their towns, in their state, in the country, and to make our world a better place. We have made a difference in a number of areas, and I hope we continue to do so. So stay tuned. We've got a lot of great things coming up, awesome guests, and some great events. So, have a great day, everyone. Check the website, loveworkshow.com, and you can go to my Facebook page, Mickey TJ Patrick at Facebook, or TJ Moonen at YouTube, or Twitter. If you go to my YouTube channel, TJ Moonen, you can see all the shows that we've done so far. On the website, we've got a few shows on there. Site's been up for about a month now. We're still working on it, so be patient. And the most important thing is, remember, love is just a word until you give it meaning.